S. Preston, Esquire.
And I am Ted Theodore Logan.
And we will be presenting the most excellent political science terms for Professor Zeckley's Intro to Comparative Politics class.
The first term on our most bodacious list is civil society. Civil society is any organized association of life outside of the control of the state. Basically, this means any clubs or religious groups that you might join that are not affiliated with the state or under their control. Civil society is really important because it allows people with different political views to get to interact with each other and become friends. And when civil society is really, really present, it can be a great tool for helping democracy to grow and flourish like a tree.
Our next political term is state. Now, despite what they might have taught you during your education, a state isn't just a place in the US such as San Dimas or Arkansas. It's actually an organization that maintains a monopoly of force over territory. Now, there are 6 particular characteristics of states. The first is that a state must have territory and borders. The second is that a state must maintain sovereignty of these borders. That's like a king or a president. Next is that there must be a power center claiming this sovereignty. Then there has to be hierarchies of authority. And then the state has to have laws. And in order to have laws, there must be institutions that uphold these laws and bureaucracies.
Our next term is autocracy. This is what happened in the 1960s when highway engineers started building tons and tons of highways and making all of our places super car-centric and not friendly to pedestrians.
This is a political science class. I'm pretty sure the term is autocracy.
Oh, right. Autocracy, sorry. Autocracy is the absence of democracy. Basically, when you have a government where the dudes don't have any ability to control what happens in the government, it's that absence of democracy which makes autocracy so bad to live in. There's actually several different types of autocracies. There's single-party states, there's monarchies, like that one that Freddie Mercury was a part of. Then there's military regimes and totalitarian states. And while all of these different regime types are individually different, all of them are really, really bad. And overall, we think that it's pretty fair to say that democracy is the better option when compared to autocracy. And it's not unreasonably liberally biased to say that.
Term is actually 2 terms disguised as one, and that one term is patronage and bureaucracy. Now, patronage is a system where government resources, non-government resources are not distributed equally. For example, you may have to use a bribe to get something that you need, or you may not be able to get it at all, depending on if the person giving it to you doesn't like you. For example, if Eddie Van Halen were trying to get skipping the line at the DMV, they would probably let him because everybody loves Eddie Van Halen's most excellent moves. Whereas Ted and I may not be able to get into the DMV at all. And bureaucracy is a most triumphant system of equality, where institutions allow everybody to wait in a really long DMV line for the same amount of time. So Ted and I could get to the end of the line just as long as Eddie Van Halen, even though our most triumphant video hasn't got him in it.
The next term on our list is ethnic conflict. Ethnic conflict is basically when conflict emerges between different ethnic groups that are struggling to achieve certain political or economic goals which are counter to the goals of the other group. Basically what this means is that when one group feels like it's being marginalized or being treated most non-charitably by the other group, they're going to get upset with that group and feel like they're not getting what they deserve. Ethnic conflict is particularly likely whenever people feel like the state is being most non-excellent to them and is not protecting their individual rights. And when they don't feel like they're protected by the state, then they feel like they need to take up arms and defend themselves. So ethnic conflict is very likely to emerge.
An example of ethnic conflict would be between the Hutu and the Tutsi peoples of Rwanda in the 1990s. Our next term is most bogus. Unfortunately, there is a thing called political violence, which is violence perpetrated to meet your political goals. It can be done by both state and non-state dudes, and can target a wide variety of things, from entire countries to ethnic groups to single individuals, such as your political opponent, such as a royal ugly dude. Now, political violence can take many forms, including massacres, genocide, sexual assault, disappearances and abductions, and ethnic cleansing, and terrorism.
Our next term is called Nathanism.
Ted, don't you mean nationalism?
Ah, that's right, nationalism. Nationalism is when you have a pride in one's people and you believe that your group has a sovereign political destiny that's separate from other groups. Nationalism often manifests as dudes believing that the borders of the state as a political entity should match up with the borders of the nation, and they think that currently those borders don't match. The next term on our list is dependency theory. Dependency theory essentially attempts to explain why some countries are super wealthy and other ones are super not wealthy. Basically, what dependency theory says is that there's some countries in the core, those are the wealthy countries, and then there's countries in the periphery that are the not wealthy countries. And essentially, the countries in the periphery produce all the raw materials that are then bought by the wealthy countries in the core to make all their products. And then those core countries sell those products back to the periphery countries. So essentially, all the wealth gets siphoned away from the periphery countries and into the core ones, which is super heinous and unequal and not fair.
Our next term is political ideology. Political ideology is dudes' thoughts, feelings, and opinions about the direction that politics should go in regarding freedom and equality. It can either be most excellent or extremely heinous, depending on your point of view. It goes on a scale from left to right, and you may have thought that left and right were just for things like stop signs. But if you thought you were right, right is actually wrong, so sorry, dude.
Our next term is modernization theory. This is another theory for how certain countries can become more developed economically. Basically, it holds that modern equals wealthy, democratic, and secular, and that all countries, if they try to implement those policies that Western liberal democracies have, that they should become just like them, and that should be the end point. The problem is that every country is different, and all these different countries have different cultures and values, which might be not represented in what is typical of Western liberal democracies. And also, this theory doesn't account for anything that dependency theory talks about with those countries on the periphery being taken advantage of. So ultimately, it might not be a very good explanation for why countries are the way they are. It's been most excellent studying political science terms with you, Bill.
It really has. I really hope Professor Stackley likes our triumphant video. Wait, we should leave a note for her in the video.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if only the video wasn't already finished. I don't know if we have enough time.
You're right. What can we do about that?
I know. Why not, after we finish filming the video, we go back in time and leave ourselves a note here so that we have one ready already.
Most excellent idea. We'll leave it right here.
Excellent.
It says, Professor Seckley, be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes!